The U.S. home price correction is sharper and more widespread than previously thought. This is an article from September the 27th on fortune.com. Have you seen this article yet, Ryan?
Yeah, I read it, I think it was this morning, because it's interesting, all the headlines right now, right? We want to talk about the headlines, and as a real estate agent, we must talk about the headlines because it's scary out there, right?
Well, that's what our consumers are seeing, right?
Yeah.
That's what our clients are reading. So it's important to read these articles, address these articles, and make sure that is it just the heading that's scary, or is there some validity to the article? So let's jump right in. It says the pandemic housing boom saw U.S. home prices soar 42%. Heading forward, some of those gains will be erased. So first of all, I mean, they're pretty much right on, right? 40% is what we saw over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and just to put it in perspective, that's astronomical. We shouldn't be seeing that much appreciation that fast, right? So over the past 2 years, because of the interest rates being so low and all the lowest ever, and the housing market boomed, and we saw bidding wars and price appreciation just skyrocket. So it's wild to think. So, leading into what I'm going to say next is this article points out for the first time on Tuesday, it reported from the Case-Shiller U.S. National Home Price Index that month over month was finally down 0.24% in the last, and that's the first time since 2012.
Yeah, so we had a 10-year long bull run. In the last 2 years, we saw home prices appreciate 42%, which what you said was dead on. Average appreciation year over year is anywhere between 3 to 4%.
Right.
So we were 10x that. And so finally prices are starting to change in 10 years. Among the 148 major housing markets tracked by John Burns Real Estate Consulting, 98 markets have seen home values fall
Say that again.
from their 2022 peaks.
Say that part again. 148 markets, how many?
98.
Okay.
So basically 65%-ish have seen a fall since their peak in 2022. In 11 markets, the Burns Home Value Index has already dropped by more than 5%. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in our area right now. Real estate is crazy hyper local. Some areas are flattening out. Some areas are still going up. Most areas we're seeing a little bit of a dip. Some areas more than others.
But let's make sure that we're talking about the same thing here, because a real estate cycle is a real estate cycle, and a lot of times what we see when there's a shift in the markets because there's like a gluttony of homes on the market, right? Yep. So that's what this even says here. Historically speaking, U.S. home prices fall significantly once supply gets high enough that distressed sellers finally cave, and that indicates that the housing market isn't strong. But that's not what's going on here.
Not at all.
And that's not what's going on at all. So we're neither seeing supply on the rise like crazy at all, nor like a flood of distressed sellers. We're just seeing home prices still slide though. And that's what the big headline is about. And that brings us probably to our next topic we're gonna discuss here as to why are we still seeing prices fall, right?
Well, we're not even seeing not only a supply glut, but we're actually seeing supply fall. Inventory is falling right now as we approach the holiday season. So we are actually less supply than before, and we're seeing these prices fall. So why are prices falling? Everybody wants to know. It boils down to pressurized affordability. I love that. Pressurized affordability. The combination of spiked mortgage rates, which just hit 7%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the highest percentage since I started. When I got into the industry in 2006, interest rates were 6.25. Prices have pushed new monthly payments far beyond what many buyers can afford to pay. Other borrowers who must stay below a certain debt-to-income ratio have lost their mortgage eligibility altogether.
Which that last statement that you said is probably the best thing that I've heard so far, which indicates, again, there's no crash coming. You wanna know why? Because lending guidelines and standards have been tightened up, and that debt-to-income ratio little box that people need to be in, it helps not get people loans that shouldn't have loans.
Yeah.
To where we turn into a foreclosure country again.
Right. That's the biggest difference between our current market and 2008, is that anybody and everybody had the ability to get a loan.
Dogs got
loans.
Dogs
were getting loans, right? The lending guidelines were so
loose,
wide open, so loose that anybody could buy a home and afford the monthly payment because debt to income didn't even matter.
Right.
And so that's the great thing about the lending guidelines now, is that they're tight enough to make sure that if the market does turn, borrowers still have the ability to continue paying their monthly payment. So this article does talk about the prices changing and values coming down.
Which is true.
Which is absolutely true. I mean, there has to be a break somewhere.
Right, because going up 40% year or a couple years over years, like that shouldn't have happened. So us to now turn around and kind of balance out and everybody have sellers come back down to earth, that's what we need, because you can't just keep going up at the rate we were going. And we're finally seeing a little bit of break in that.
Like we've been telling everybody, right? We're not going to see a crash. We're going to see a correction,
right?
Which is absolutely what needs to happen for buyers to get back into affordable housing.
Right.
So great article, and
yeah,
we'll definitely do our best to post a link into the body of this message.
Stay tuned.
Cool.
If you guys found value in what you saw today, or if you have any topics that you want us to go over or dissect for you in the future, subscribe to all of our channels and send us a DM. We're here to help.